It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Tonight we're gonna be talking about Kirk Franklin. He has a new interview out with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay. And in this interview, he actually talks about how he was taken advantage of in the gospel industry early in his career. Let me bring the mic closer to me. Sorry about that. He was taken advantage of in the gospel community early in his career. I'm quite sure there's a lot of artists that are in the gospel community, in the Christian hip hop community, and just everyone within that entire church music realm that are being taken advantage of financially because these people don't know the business, right? You think artists, rappers, and people come off the street and don't know the business. Just think about folks going into those church walls, sharing their gift, thinking that they're doing it for God. They're doing it for Jesus. They're glorifying the Father upstairs. You know what I'm saying? The one who made them holy, the one who sanctifies them. You feel me? They feel like this is something that they're doing out of the goodness of their heart for the community and for the people. But somebody behind the scenes is cashing in, right? Not only when they go to these competitions and get this money, the money be going back to the church. I don't know if none of them go home with that. But then you also got to think about the records that come out from some of these super churches. It might be different today. I don't know. But again, Kirk Franklin gives us some details on how he was treated back in 1993. And for the vast majority of his career, he was not receiving the money that he should have. So although we saw him dancing and leading the choir and doing all this type of stuff, and he's made a good amount of money in his career, one can only imagine how much he was actually entitled to for all of the work that he put in, because some of y'all may look at Kirk Franklin as like a Diddy type person. You know, he's the front man of the choir, the front man of the situation. But to my knowledge, someone would have to come in and let me know further details. But to my knowledge, he's the one that comes up with the ideas for the songs. He comes up with the arrangements. He has musicians go in and play everything. They say he's the producer behind a lot of this stuff. He writes the lyrics. So he's coming up and orchestrating a lot of this stuff. So he was actually robbed out of his publishing, which is actually directly connected to the songwriting of the music. So I'm going to play the clip of Kirk Franklin explaining this to Shannon Sharpe. It's very interesting. He actually received his first record deal offer when he was 7 years old. So clearly he had some level of talent in music before he found that other people were probably better than him. His mother turned down the deal. She didn't want him to do anything outside of the church, and she didn't want him having access to money and stuff like that because she felt like it was going to corrupt him. She turned it out. It was dead on arrival. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm going to play the clip of Shannon Sharpe and Kirk Franklin talking about this. And as y'all know, I no longer play visuals on this channel. I play audio. If you don't like it, you can leave. But like I said, as long as you have ears, the Lord will bless. You know what I'm saying? So here we go.
Early. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: have you signed bad contracts? Because as a 7-year-old, you had someone, a representative, an adult. Now you go into it and you're your kind of your own boss. And how does Kurt like differentiate between a good deal and a bad deal? What has to be it for it to be a good deal? What needs to be?
Let me jump in. You didn't even got to finish. My very first recording contract at 23 years old, the label I signed with, they took 100% of my publishing.
Crooks.
100% of.
Before we even get to it, these mother is crooks. Took 100% of publishing, man. Y'all don't understand. Publishing is not the most lucrative, but publishing pays you forever, right? And this is why I'm so dedicated on this channel to talking about music and talking about the behind the scenes side of it, because this stuff is important, man. This stuff is literally people's livelihoods. So let's say for the average person, average songwriter, if I go write a song for Kirk Franklin, for example, right? He's got his choir that's going to sing it. I come to the table with my song idea, my arrangement, everything, and they put it out. I'm the writer. So they go out, they go make the music video for it. They go sing it in all the churches. They tour it, all that stuff. I don't have to go out there with them. I'm going to get paid anyway because I wrote the song. At that point, when they put it out on all the platforms. People buy it, people stream it. I'm supposed to get something off of that. You know what I'm saying? I should get a nice chunk of change off that, you know what I mean? To be honest, because the publishing side, right? If it gets played on the radio, if it gets played in a movie, if it gets played in a bar, or maybe not in a bar, but you know, a traditional venue of some sort, if it gets played at a festival, all these different types of places, the songwriters typically get paid publishing money off of all that. You also get a cut of the publishing also takes a cut of streaming. It also takes a cut of sales, mechanicals and stuff like that, depending on how your deal is structured and what you got set up for yourself. So I just want to go ahead and chime in real quick. Straight Crooks. 1993, they took advantage of him. It was a label called Gospel Centric that did him in all the way. He released like 9 albums on this label. Let me go back and just let Kirk finish. You know what I mean?
My publishing.
How you let that happen?
Because I didn't really know any better. The people that had represented me didn't know. It was new for everyone. I didn't know what an entertainment attorney was. The attorney that I had was probably like a real estate attorney. Didn't really know who to reach out to. This was 1993.
Right.
I'm living in Texas.
Had a real estate attorney negotiating his record deal. Y'all understand how crazy that is? A real estate attorney, somebody who ain't never seen music industry jargon, don't know what publishing is, don't know what masters is, mechanical royalties, none of this type of stuff, and they negotiating on your behalf. I might have wanted to kill that motherfucker, man. I know some church folks probably watching this because it's Kirk Franklin, but hey, this is the uncensored channel, man. We keep it raw and uncut, and God accepts me, okay? Much love.
Texas. It's not an entertainment space.
Correct.
I didn't, and then gospel music has never been privy to a lot of agents and attorneys and representatives and managers. That's not the ecosystem that gospel music has always matriculated through. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't have a lot of professionals in our space to be able to try to gather information. And they took 100% of my
So
publishing.
you got.
I got early on. I'm old enough now where a lot of the copyright laws, they now revert back to me.
Right.
And then so that's a blessing, because after 30, 35 years, there's this reversion process.
Right.
And so, but no, most of my deals early on were all bad deals. I just wanted to do music.
Right.
And it came back to bite me.
Early on, you were signed to Interscope. Interscope, one of this major subsidiaries up underneath it was Death Row.
Yeah.
It was mainly hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beautiful.
that was beautiful.
Beautiful. Dr. Dre and Jimmy.
No, he was on Gospel Centric. Now, I don't know what Gospel Centric's connection was to Interscope, but if you go on Google, you go on Wikipedia, they show you the real. I don't know when he went with Interscope. It took a minute for him to get over there. They might have owned this company, because if I'm not mistaken, Gospel Centric ended up turning into RCA Inspo or something like that, which is a gospel arm under the RCA label, right? So I'm over here. Matter of fact, let me share my screen so y'all can see what's going on over here, because I want y'all to really see and understand what I'm talking about for real, for real. Kirk Franklin and the Family. This is his debut album, right? He recorded this album in Fort Worth, Texas. Okay. All songs on the album were written and arranged by Kirk Franklin, which means he's entitled to publishing money, right? Hezekiah Walker is on there. He got some heavy hitters with him from the jump, right? The album is released on Gospel Centric. Now, as we go through his discography, you're gonna keep seeing Gospel Centric. All right. So Tamala Man was on the first album. Like they, if you into gospel at all or have any knowledge of what they do, you're gonna see some familiar names. But that's 93. Second album, he did a Christmas album, right? Okay, the Christmas album did something on Interscope. You know, they gave him an opportunity. right? But Gospel Centric is still over here in the corner. So I don't know what country Gospel Centric was located in, but they must have collaborated with Interscope. So they still taking his publishing. He gets the next album. What you looking for, right? This is where you get the backup vocals from God's Property. This is where they make their debut and stuff like that. Well, I won't say debut, but when he start working with them, right? So, who's it under? Gospel Centric Records, 1996. This is the third album from Kirk Franklin. They still taking all his pub money. He's probably not getting no money off the master neither, because he signed them away in 93 too. That's where the labels eat the most, is off the masters. So when people buy the album, think back then, these albums used to be $15, $20. Some albums used to cost $25 back in the G. You know what I mean? We're not talking about them singles. We're talking about full albums. And if you selling 1 million albums, you could just imagine how much money they bringing in. 15, 20 million, artists getting roughly 15%, if any. And then all his publishing money is getting ate up too. So the only way that he was even getting paid at this time is off of doing shows. You know how many shows it take to get rich? And you ain't getting no money off your own creations. So this is his third album, Gospel Centric Records, 96. Then you got the actual God's Property album. Okay, it's a collaboration between the choir and Kirk. This is through Be Right. And one might say, okay, Be Right, that looks different. Well, let me show you guys who Be Right is. Be Right. Let's go back to Gospel Centric. I've done all this information. I've done all this research already, but I want to show y'all live and uncut. So Gospel Centric Records is an Inglewood, California-based gospel music record label. They started back in 1993. The label rose to prominence largely on the success of gospel artist Kirk Franklin. They came up on the back of this man and treated him terribly. Okay? Label has become one of the most prominent gospel labels. Gospel Centric later spawned into the imprint Be Right Music. So when he got that next deal with another company by the name of Be Right, he's actually with the same group of people, the same crowd of folks, under the same umbrella, getting robbed. Right? God's Property, they got yapped by the same people. Gospel Centric was eventually purchased by Zomba in the mid-2000s, which also owned the gospel label Verity Records. Okay? Verity Records is pretty vital in this situation too, because Kirk went on to release music under them years later. But we'll get there. Gospel Centric has since been defunct, and the purchase now led to the record label RCA Inspiration, which is owned by Sony Music. So now, all the folks that was there back in the day, they've been bought out. They're not in the music industry no more. Or they may have gone to other companies and robbed other folks. But I just want y'all to understand the 6 degrees of separation from his money that he's been having throughout his entire career up until now. He's getting reversions where those copyrights come back to him 30 to 35 years later, that you waiting on your money and your music to come back to you. This is the industry that we play in. When they tell you it's entertainment, you got to believe them that that's all it is. So we going to God's Property. We saw that. It's on Be Right. Okay. Let's go back to Kirk Franklin's discography. Where you at, Kirk? Let's just go backwards. Right? So now we'll go back here. "1998, the New Nation Project comes out. It's his final collaboration with the family and God's Property. Right? This album was released on Gospel Centric. Ooh, y'all some slick mugs, man. Next album, 2000, with the One Nation crew, right? Be Right, Interscope, MCA. So now in 2000, we get the Interscope situation, but Be Right is there, which is the offspring of that first label, like we showed you. Then we got the rebirth of Kirk Franklin in 2002. This is a solo album, him without the choir and all them folks. He just doing what he do. You know what I'm saying? This one comes out on Gospel Centric. Did a solo deal outside of the group, and he went back to Gospel Centric and got robbed again. This is why he said his first few deals, he was getting yanked. Okay? So let's go back to the discography. Hero comes out in 2005 on Gospel Centric Records. You know, he's getting a little bit more money, probably getting some upfront, because J Records and all these other companies, they're coming into the fold, so they probably breaking him off a little something, you know, for the deal, because he's signing paperwork to do these things with them. So they probably giving him an advance. He probably getting, you know, hundreds of thousands in advance, but definitely not nowhere near what he should have been getting. If you understand what I'm saying. Comes out 2006. Songs for the Storm. Be Right and Gospel Centric. They tag teamed them. Jesus. It's a compilation album, so I guess, you know, it might have been re-releases. 2007, The Fight of My Life. The Fight of Your Life. You might have been dealing with some harsh demons in your life, but the fight of your real life was how they was taking your money. Gospel Centric, 2007. Came out on top, boxing, but you can't seem to knock Gospel Centric out the box. 2011, we're going to keep going, man. And these albums are doing very well. Going gold, platinum, etc. And he's eating very little off of it. Okay? Then we got Verity. Verity came into play in 2010. Right? So this is label. American Gospel Music Focused record label founded in 1994. So now he's getting away from them finally, right? 2011. 2015. RCA Inspiration. Once that company folded, they got consumed by Sony. They turned it into something different. So technically he's still under the same company, but they got bought out, which at this point, at the Losing My Religion album, he also launched his own label for your soul. Right? So he signed that first deal in 1993 and didn't really get from under the thumb of it till 2015. This is why folks say you got to come into the industry and know a little something about something, because you could easily get ran up through there if you're not paying attention. If you don't know anything about the industry, and again, coming from a gospel background, your only intention is to please God with your talent, with your voice, with your gift, right? At least in the traditional music business, if I'm somebody off the street, I know I do music. I want to get paid. I want to get rich. So at some point, I'm going to start investigating, hey, where's my money at? Y'all was supposed to pay me. Why I ain't get a big advance? Y'all gave me a big advance. Where's the rest of my money? Y'all ain't paid me in 4 years. Excuse me. In the gospel world, as long as they keep you on the road, keep you in front of people, the hotels is paid for. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're a working musician and you're able to provide for your family in some capacity, you feel like, thank you, God. You're providing a way. You've laid out a way for me to get paid and take care of my family from my gift. Not knowing you got dang near $30-40 million sitting out there that you was supposed to have, that somebody else is taking home, splitting up amongst they homies, having great Christmases and holidays throughout the year, buying Bentleys, pulling up, looking like looking like they did some work out here in the world. So I just felt it was really key for me to talk about this tonight, because if anyone out there is in the praise singing profession, if you're in the church, you know, there's nothing wrong with being in the church. I don't down anybody for your faith. But I just want you to understand there's two sides of the game, and we all have to come to this realization. There's the music, and then there's the business. And it doesn't matter what type of music you make, there's going to be business behind it. Somebody told me years ago, if you hear music playing out loud, somebody's being played for it. I don't care if you're playing it on your laptop on Apple Music. I don't care if you're playing on your phone. I don't care if you walk in a Burlington Coat Factory and they got a song on, or if you walk into Marshall's, TJ Maxx. If that song is airing, somebody's being paid for it. And if your paperwork isn't right, if your contract's not buttoned up the right way, it might not be you, but somebody is. All right? So that's my lesson for the evening. Let me see if Kirk has any more to be said in this video before we retire for the evening.
Jimmy Iovine coming to see me in concert at Six Flags, Magic Mountain out here.
Right.
Yeah, you know, just beautiful, man, to be around so much talent, to have Jimmy Iovine say, hey, I'm going to send a plane for you to go to Dublin so we can record Bono, and, you know, and to work with all these different people. It was great. Jimmy Iovine, I owe a lot to him in my career because he's one of the greatest, and he really, really, really took a liking to what I was doing and really gave me opportunities that couldn't have come without my relationship with him. God using my relationship with him.
So clearly Jimmy Iovine came in and gave him some checks. You know what I'm saying? Gave him opportunities to like do soundtracks and different things that was able to get him over the hump, while the other companies that he was with was digging in his plate, eating his food, leaving him some mashed potatoes at the end of the night.
What made you start your own record label?
It's because I saw young talent around me. I wanted to curate younger talent that could continue the message and the conversation. I probably would never do a label again until I probably retire. It's because it's very hard to separate yourself as an artist and as an owner of a label, because everyone you sign, understandably, they think that the access you have should be the access that they have.
Right.
And so it probably won't be until I fully retire that I'll probably do another label again.
Wow. How different is the industry in gospel today than it was when you started in the 90s?
It's in a rough place. It's in a very rough place because...
It's in a rough place still, Kirk? Say it ain't so. It's been 30 years, ain't it?
Art is going to always reflect where life is. I think that the decline of organized religion in America, the rise of secularism, and the deconstruction of conversations of faith and spirituality have all added to the decline of people's engagement and people's interest in the music. People don't go to church like they used to. People don't.
You get online. You go online.
Yeah. And then even then, when you go online, it's like it's almost like room noise.
Yes, because you're doing other things.
You're doing other
You
things.
cooking, you cleaning,
and you church hopping. You know,
Yeah.
say he ain't saying something you enjoying. You put another church in. So it's like now it's like a church buffet, right? And so, if people are going to be engaging with God in that space, then I could be going listening to the music.
Right.
And then if they do listen to the music, they're going to listen to something from way back, songs from back in the 90s or the 80s or early 2000s. They're not going to go discover the new artists. And so it's something that is a great concern for me. And then also the greatest concern, I'm going to tell you the greatest concern, King. The greatest concern is that you've got a generation of younger gospel artists that saw how the church killed and crucified and judged a lot of the older people or artists that were before them. Mm-hmm. And their mindset is, I'm not going to do gospel music because y'all eat your own.
Right.
So judgmental, so critical, so mean that why would I give myself to something that's so that's
Oh man, I could do a whole YouTube series on this part. Now, what y'all don't know is I never did gospel music, but I did engage in the Christian rap hemisphere for maybe like a year or two, you know what I'm saying? And I was going through a real big transformation within myself where I was at a point where I was like reading the Bible every day. I was praying very, very often. I was fully immersing myself into a life of Christ. And I met some people, you know what I'm saying, that were on that same wavelength with me, that understood who I was, and we were in this this space of upcoming artists that wanted to make music to glorify God and just live righteously, right? Now, the thing about it is, once you go into that space, and I didn't even get deeply into it, but you start seeing the level of judgment that's there. You start seeing, dang, why did this particular artist who was so steadfast about God and the Bible, all of a sudden, he done became atheist, you know? Or it was a lot of different stuff that was just happening, and you would never think that all this stuff was happening in real time, because you think you go from the traditional secular music hemisphere to this space is going to be better. It's going to be this utopia where people are treated fairly, treated rightfully, and it's all about doing right for God. But unfortunately, that's not what it was. You know what I mean? If you said anything that veered from the selected vocabulary that's there for you, you get chastised, you get talked about. It used to be websites that would just come up and just slander these artists and talk about them like dogs, and you would think, dang, this is worse than the Shade Room. But it was in a Christian context, so you couldn't really argue with them, because it's like they pull out that Bible, it's like a jackhammer. So I fully understand what Kirk is talking about here. Not to mention, they do all of this to make you feel bad about yourself and still don't pay you when your music come out.
That's so toxic.
Right.
And so you have a whole nother generation of young Christians that are not like, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna go over here and do this other kind of music and still love God. Deuces. And so we are really trying to rewrite the conversations as best as we can to make people feel comfortable that this is a place for broken people and it's not a place for Jesus Juniors.
The radio era kind of.
I could literally play this entire interview and just and break it down for the whole night, but I'm not going to. I'm going to cap it off there. Thank you, Shannon Sharpe. Thank you, Kirk Franklin. This was much needed conversation. I hope more people tune into it. It has 137,000 views just off their interview, but more people need to hear this. More people need to understand what's going on. And especially aspiring artists that want to use their gift to glorify God. I want you to understand that's amazing. That's great. Keep those beliefs. Keep your optimism. Everything, right? But just make sure that you're equipped on the business side. Find some people that are from the secular world that might be able to help you as far as the paperwork is concerned. You can love God enough for both of y'all. Let them handle the business to make sure that you're taken care of the right way. And then you can go about your business for the rest of your career. All right. Much love and respect, man. That's all I got for y'all. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification for all updates. And I'm about to play Let's Get It. So for anybody that does not like secular music, if Kirk Franklin led you here, you might want to shut it off right about now, because the song is hard, but it probably ain't for you. All right?
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming, I swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. But I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.